we're going to work through some of the basic balance work, starting with standing heel raises. If you have concerns about balance, first thing you want to do is set yourself up by a solid surface, whether that's a counter or a chair or a table. Another option to help make this a little bit more stable would be to have on good support shoes. So tennis shoes, something with a little bit stiffer sole. That's going to bring a little bit more balance. If you want to make it more challenging, try it barefoot. On a wood floor is actually even more stable than doing this on a carpet. So if you're set up on a carpet area, you probably want to start with shoes on. Standing with your feet about sit bone distance apart, glance down. Make sure your big toes are in line with each other. It's very normal for us to stand kind of askew one side in front of the other. So line yourself up, square up your shoulders, and find your tallest posture. Then pressing into all 10 toes, raise both heels up off of the floor, and then control the lower back down. Think about the crown of the head going straight up to the ceiling and straight back down. And you want to notice if you're rolling in or out on the ankles, if you have your weight heavier into the pinky toe or heavier into the big toe, you want to be right in the center of each foot. If this is feeling really comfortable and you want to challenge it, just let go of that surface and try to do this without holding on. Lifting and controlling the lower. You want to do about 8 to 10 of these. Make sure the knees are soft. Another option here, that's the controlled up and down. Now for more bone density work, a little bit of ankle stability work, we're going to do heel drops. So soften the knees a little bit. Make sure you're supporting the low back by pulling it at the waistline just slightly. You're going to lift the heels so they just barely clear the floor and then drop them back down. Small lift and lower. So you can barely even see me raise the heel and then drop straight down. So these are small, still an element of control. You can do these again by a counter surface or for balance. And here you want to do this for about 30 seconds, so whatever pace you're going at. If you have plantar fasciitis or have had other foot issues or injuries, this is one that you maybe don't want to rush into, or start with just doing maybe 10 lifts and lowers and work your way up to that 30-second interval. One more standing balance piece here is called the rock walk. You're going to line your feet up, again, sit bone distance apart, but this time one heel is going to go out in front of the other. So if I'm turned sideways, again, make sure they're on their own railroad track. Both legs are straight. You can have your hand on a chair or counter, or again, add a balance challenge, both arms up. You're going to shift your weight all the way forward onto the front foot, raising the back heel. Shift your weight all the way back, raise the front toes. So just that rock forward, rock back. Again, both legs straight. Careful not to lock the knees. You're going to do that 5 to 8 times. On the last one, you're going to come forward halfway. So the back heel is lifted, the front toes are lifted. We're in the most challenging point of transition between the 2 feet. And then you're going to try and hold that and balance. Make sure you're breathing. And then rest that down. You can do that on the other side, but we're going to move on to our sit to stand. So practicing getting in and out of a chair, ideally, without holding on to anything. First, you're going to set up, make sure it's a solid chair. So use a dining table. Folding chair is not our best option, especially if it has any give or is a little wobbly. Make sure you have enough rear end in your chair that you can find it on the way back down. But you don't want to start from all the way back here like you would if you were relaxing into a sofa. So a little bit perched towards the front edge, heels directly below the knees, knees directly in front of the hip bones. You don't want to start with your feet too far underneath you, or when you lean forward, you'll end up down on the ground. So line that up. On your first time trying this, again, always feel free to be next to something solid. Start this by your dining table using one of the chairs. Then work your way towards doing it without holding on. Find your tallest posture. Arms are slightly out in front. Hinge forward from the hips. Press down into the heels, both feet evenly, to bring yourself up to standing. Reverse it. Knees bend first, crease right at the hips. Think about sending your tailbone back to find the chair. So just that hinge, press down to come up, knees first, tailbone back, find the seat. If that's feeling really easy, you've worked your way up from holding on, now you're doing it without holding on, and that's an easy movement. The next step up is to prop up one heel. I didn't change my foot position at all. Keep that lined up, heels below the knees, knees in front of the hips. But raising one heel, we're gonna shift 80% of our weight into the flat foot. That's gonna be my dominant leg. Only 20% on the raised heel. Same movement. Hinge forward, push down into the flat foot to come all the way up. Bend that knee, send the hips back, find the chair. And then you'd switch feet. I like to do about 4 or 5 with both feet flat. And then again, 4 or 5 on each side. Again, working your way up to that. The last balance move we're gonna do is really about having an escape plan for getting all the way down and up from the floor. I'm gonna leave my chair nearby to practice it this first time. And you wanna set yourself up with room behind you. So feet sit bone distance apart. It's the same hip hinge we just did, getting in and out of the chair. Knees bend, crease at the hips. That brought my center of gravity back. You can place your hand on your knee, or today I'm going to use the chair. Step 1 foot back. Doesn't matter which one, but if you have any knee issues, you want your stable leg to be the one that's staying forward. Rest the knee to the floor. You have to untuck the toes. Bring the hands down to the floor, and then the knee out of the way. You're going to shift your rear end down to the side, lay all the way down to the floor. Now use your hands to push into the floor. Get your hands under your shoulders, then pick the hips up. So you find this all fours position. Pick your torso up. If there's a surface nearby, you can put your hand on the chair or whatever solid surface you're working with. If there's not, and you're doing this from the floor, you're going to bring one leg out and forward. It could be out here further to the side, but it needs to be a little in front of your hip. Tuck the back toes. The key here, as we bring our center of gravity up, is to think about also bringing it forward. You could brace a hand on the knee or that solid surface. Send the crown of your head forward and up, not down. Then bring the foot underneath you, unhinge, come on up. I'm going to do that a little bit faster this time without using the chair. Same start. Knees, hips, send one leg back. Hands to the knee, lower down to the floor. Hands to the floor, untuck the toes, find all fours. Hips rotate to one side, come all the way down. Use your hands, press to come up, get them underneath your shoulders, then pick the hips up and over to all fours position. Pick the torso up, step 1 foot forward. Tuck the toes, brace on the knee, head goes forward and up. Unhinge, stand it up tall. Aim to do that at least 3 times every day so that when you need it, you know that you have that option. Again, you may end up down there by injury or emergency, and there might not be a solid surface nearby, but just knowing that you have some basic skills will help, and that will also help increase the strength and stability of the joints needed when you need to use it. That's all for today.